The rain had just stopped when Claire wheeled herself across the cracked pavement of the small-town gas station. The air smelled of wet asphalt, and the sound of her wheelchair tires squeaking faintly against the damp ground filled the silence. She was used to silence, almost too used to it, but today, she hoped it would stay that way. She had learned to live without the use of her legs, but peace was something she still cherished like gold. Claire Thompson was a decorated veteran, a Navy officer who had given everything she had for her country. One mission overseas had changed her life forever, a roadside explosion leaving her confined to a chair. Even after months of therapy, the pain wasn't just in her body, it was in her heart. She had lost more than the ability to walk, she had lost the life she thought she would have. Still, she refused to be broken. She moved to a quiet town near the edge of the coast, where people mostly kept to themselves. She wasn't looking for pity, just a little respect. And yet, respect was often the hardest thing to come by. That morning, she had rolled up to the gas station to grab a few groceries and a hot coffee. Her service dog, Max, a golden retriever with sharp eyes and a gentle soul, padded along faithfully at her side. The station was nearly empty except for the rumble of motorcycles that came rolling in just as she was making her way back to her van. She noticed them immediately, 5 bikers, leather jackets soaked from the rain, loud laughter echoing through the lot. Their presence was heavy, the kind that made people instinctively keep their heads down. Claire didn't. She had faced down fire fights and mortar shells, she wasn't going to flinch at the sound of a motorcycle engine. But the bikers noticed her, too. "Well, looky here," one of them drawled as he swung his leg off his bike. His beard was thick, his eyes cold, and the smirk on his lips carried a kind of cruelty she recognized from men who liked to prey on weakness. "What's a pretty little soldier doing out here in wheels instead of heels?" The others chuckled. Claire kept her composure, her hands steady on her chair. "Just minding my business," she said calmly. "Oh, come on," another chimed in, circling her like a predator. "You're a vet, aren't you? Look at those stickers on your van. Navy, huh? Bet you thought you were tough stuff, until life sat you down." He slapped the back of her chair hard enough to jolt her. Max growled low, his teeth flashing. "Call your mutt off before I put him down," the biker threatened, reaching toward his belt. Claire's pulse spiked, but she kept her voice even. "Leave me alone." They didn't. One of them grabbed her grocery bag and dumped it out, apples rolling across the wet pavement, bread soaking in puddles. Another leaned close, the smell of stale beer on his breath. "I bet you cry yourself to sleep every night, don't you, soldier? All that glory, all that sacrifice, and for what? So you can roll around while real men run the world?" The laughter stung more than the words. Claire's heart pounded, her body tensed. She had been through pain, humiliation, and fear before, but what hurt most now was how quickly people could strip dignity away from someone who had already lost so much. Her hand trembled as she reached for Max's leash. She wanted to leave, but one of the bikers kicked her chair, spinning it halfway around. "We're not done talking." But then something changed. A black SUV pulled into the lot and parked quietly across the way. Claire barely noticed it at first, too focused on the sneering faces around her. But the bikers did. They turned, some cursing under their breath. The doors opened, and out stepped 3 men. Their movements were calm but precise, the kind of calm that came from years of discipline and training. They weren't just any men, Claire could tell in a heartbeat. Navy SEALs. Her chest tightened, not in fear, but in recognition. She knew those eyes, that posture, that unshakable presence. These were brothers in arms, the kind of men who had walked the same brutal roads she had. One of them, tall and broad-shouldered with a scar down his jawline, approached first. His voice was even, but there was steel underneath it. "Is there a problem here?" The bikers shifted uneasily. "Nah, man, we're just talking," one said, his bravado faltering. Funny, the seal replied, glancing at Claire's scattered groceries. Doesn't look like talking to me. He knelt down, picked up the apples, and handed them back to Claire with a soft nod. Ma'am, are you all right? Something in her throat tightened. She hadn't heard that kind of respect in a long time. I'm fine, she whispered, though her eyes betrayed the tremble inside. The other two seals stepped closer, their presence alone enough to make the bikers uneasy. Here's how this is going to work, the first one said. You're going to apologize to her. Then you're going to get on your bikes and leave. If you don't, you'll be dealing with us. The bikers hesitated. One tried to laugh it off. What, 3 guys against 5 of us? The seal just smiled, but it wasn't friendly. 3 seals, he corrected. The weight of those words hit harder than any punch could. The tension broke like glass under pressure. The bikers muttered half-hearted apologies, not meeting Claire's eyes, then scrambled onto their bikes. Engines roared, tires screeched, and within seconds they were gone. Silence settled again, broken only by the soft whimper of Max as he nudged Claire's hand. She stroked his fur, exhaling slowly, her body finally releasing the tension it had been holding. The seal with the scar crouched beside her. I'm sorry you had to go through that, he said gently. You served, didn't you? She nodded. Navy. Afghanistan. His eyes softened. Then your family. He extended his hand, firm and steady. Name's Mason. These are Daniels and Cruz. We don't leave family behind. Claire's composure cracked. For so long, she had carried her battles alone, believing the world had forgotten her sacrifices. But here were men who reminded her that she wasn't invisible, that her service still mattered, that she still mattered. They helped her gather the rest of her things, refusing to let her lift a finger. As they loaded her van, Mason said, You know, there's a veteran center not far from here. We meet every week, just to talk, support each other. You should come. Claire hesitated. She hadn't let herself be part of anything in years. She had built walls around her pain, her pride, her fears. But looking at them, at the quiet strength in their eyes, she felt something stir inside her. A flicker of belonging. I'll think about it, she said softly. Mason smiled. That's all we ask. As they parted ways, Claire sat in her van, her groceries secure, Max resting his head on her lap. She looked out at the empty lot where the bikers had stood, where humiliation had tried to break her. And then she looked at the spot where her brothers had stood, where dignity had been restored with nothing more than presence and respect. Tears slid down her cheeks, but they weren't tears of weakness. They were tears of healing. For the first time in a long time, she didn't feel small. She didn't feel forgotten. She felt like a soldier again. And as she drove home, the words Mason had said echoed in her heart, We don't leave family behind. 2 weeks later, Claire found herself outside the veteran center. Her nerves buzzed, but Max nudged her forward. When she wheeled inside, laughter, conversation, and warmth filled the air. Mason spotted her immediately, his face lighting up. You came, he said. Claire smiled faintly. Guess I didn't want to be left behind after all. That night, she shared her story for the first time, the blast, the hospital, the nights of doubt, the loneliness. And when she finished, no one looked at her with pity. They looked at her with pride. With respect. And that was the moment Claire realized something she had forgotten. True strength isn't measured by what you've lost, but by what you choose to stand for, even when you can't stand on your own 2 feet. She had fought for her country once. Now, with her brothers and sisters by her side, she was ready to fight for herself again. And the message she carried from that day forward was simple but unshakable. Dignity can be stolen for a moment, but courage always finds a way back.